Hello and welcome to the Daily Brown Bag. I'm Chad Hill and I'm joined by Adam Stetzer, and today we're going to be talking about an ad-free internet. What would it be like and will it ever happen? Adam, how you doing?
Pretty good, Chad. Good morning. Yeah, this is an interesting topic. We have some trending data we want to report here about this new concept of ad blocking. So this is not something that I've seen discussed a lot, but I think will be discussed a lot more. There's an interesting study from a company called PageFair. They did an audit of 220 websites over the past year, and they found the average rate of ads being blocked as high as 22.7% across their sample. Seen a couple other studies, these numbers vary, but the trend seems to be pretty consistent, which is there is more and more technology emerging to pull the ads away from the site that you're on or the technology you're using. So you see this in plugins for browsers. You see hardware now on the market that can sit between just inside your router in a home and will actually filter all the content as it comes through and pull out the ads. So this is a fascinating topic for discussion. I think our internet marketers, of course, will be very, very interested in it. And it sort of reminds me, Chad, of when TiVo first came out and you had the opportunity to fast forward through the commercials, which, you know, for decades had been the staple of how media was delivered and paid for. Now we see this debate starting to emerge in the internet space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, one of the points here, Adam, is that right now the reason that we can go to a lot of websites and read free content is because they are surrounded by ads. So there's a bit of a give and a take here. So people don't like seeing the ads, but at the same time, right now, those ads are the way that people are monetizing or paying for the reporting and the content that's being created. Now some publications have started moving away from that. You have the paywall that New York Times has, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post is playing with it. And the idea here is ways to not be so dependent on advertising and banner ads and whatnot around it. But I think the real thing that's interesting, Adam, in this is that the reason I think this is going up is because more and more we're seeing in the news stories of just how sophisticated some of the advertising is becoming. There's certainly the NSA and what's going on there, but also I was recently reading a story about a company that's able to determine which devices you actually often use. So not only is it just tracking you on your browser, but because of the data you're looking at on your browser, it's also able to figure out what mobile phone you might be using and start to get this cross device advertising, which gets a little bit scary. So what do we do here? What's the give and take that we can look at?
Well, it's a fascinating debate, and if you think about some of the younger generation who's sort of grown up in this environment you're describing, where an ad-supported internet is all they know, and to them they feel like that's kind of free and everything should be free. You see these debates that start when people start to suggest maybe Facebook should charge $5 or $10 a year, and people go absolutely ballistic. So this is going to come to a head at some point. And you're right, Chad. The reason that such robust platforms like the name brands we're all used to, such as Google and Facebook and now Twitter, are available is because of advertising. Of course, there are tens of thousands that never made it to that pinnacle that were trying to be advertising supported and didn't make it. So it's not like this is a walk in the park from the business side, but from the user side, you're right. You're seeing the boiling point kind of increase here because people are starting to get more and more concerned about the tactics they're using. Yet the real contradiction is when the discussion is, well, maybe we should just charge a flat fee, which, as you said, is what the newspapers are going to. A lot of people push back. So it sounds a little bit to me like the internet users want their cake and want to eat it too. And that's sort of what this technology, to me, is sort of promising. Yeah, okay, so get the ad-supported content and we'll just strip out the ads. So we're right back with TiVo. So what does this mean? Well, just like the TiVo debate, it didn't really end up there. I mean, TV advertising is still going strong, and you are seeing some disruptive technologies being introduced trying to capitalize, but it hasn't really turned that corner in, what has it been, 10 years plus. So I think these things tend to move slower than we think. The other thought I had is that if this did become widespread and people started putting blockers in their house networks on the routers or in their mobile devices, well, we know Google, who's the kingpin here, and they're pretty good at detecting what got displayed on your browser. How hard would it be for them, let's just talk tech for a second, to put in a little JavaScript into their ad pack and actually know that it got rendered or not? And if they consistently saw an IP address where the ads were being blocked and they were not being rendered when the rest of the page was, wouldn't they be within their rights to say, well, we're not serving you any more Google search results? And I'd be interested to chat on your opinion. Would that get people to stop using the ad blockers?
That's a great point, Adam. And that's probably the way they could ultimately go is detecting whether or not. And of course, what they could do is not serve the content. Now, some of this technology, it would be tricky, right? It would be tricky to make that happen technically, especially as it's passing through, the ads getting stripped out. But I guess you're saying there almost be like a token to say, when I render this, see if there's some other content on this page in order for this content to be unlocked. Great, it's an interesting idea, and I think the thing with this whole process is that for every tactic and every process of blocking an ad, there's somebody else out there coming up with a way to serve an ad better. So it's a little bit like a legal defense team versus the plaintiff side. You need both sides, and there'll probably continue to be an escalation of the tactics used to get better targeting, but at the same time maintain your privacy. So if you're interested in this topic and want to discuss it more, please comment on our forum here, and please be sure to join and subscribe to our videos.